Rumor has it that Apple's coming out with its own security camera, which might be kind of cool, might be kind of crazy because it might be able to tell who you are even if it can't see your face. I've actually been wanting to talk about this for a while here on Daily Tech too, so I'm glad that this latest bit of information came out. I'm kind of interested in Apple coming out with a security system. Apple's really good at stuff around the house, in the house. As I've said a couple of times before, I feel like they struggle a little bit when things get outside the house. I'm not talking about taking your phone or your tablet out, but like their car project, that would be something that you drive around town. That stalled multiple times and then finally got killed off, for instance. So, on the consumer side of things, smart home side of things, Apple with HomeKit, it makes sense for them to go down the smart camera route, I would say. Now, people are talking about this coming out in sometime in like 2026. I don't know if you remember this, but Apple used to have something called the AirPort Extreme, and it was kind of Apple's earlier foray into sort of networking, smart home, HomeKitty sort of stuff. And then it was a bummer when they got rid of it. Like, that was a really cool product. And I still don't know why they killed that off. I should figure that out. We should make a whole video on that. So ever since then, I've been like a fan of Apple making stuff for the house, even though I use that at the business as well. Let's talk a little bit about Apple's new patent. They're calling it a body print ID here. And basically, if your face is covered up, then Apple's technology here is still going to be able to identify you, which is convenient, one, but also a little creepy, number two. You hear about these cameras over in China and they have gait recognition, and they'll, like, people don't want to be on camera, right? And they'd wear like crazy sunglasses that flash certain light spectrums or whatever to mess up the cameras. They wear these masks to also mess up cameras, but then it doesn't matter ultimately because just the way that you walk is also easily identifiable via AI and your gait. So Apple's kind of going down a similar path here. I think people have some mixed emotions about Apple's patent here. I mean, it's innovation, especially for consumers, but is it a privacy invasion? I think anything like this is going to alarm privacy advocates. Of course, Apple's worked very hard to build into their brand privacy as kind of a brand feature. You've seen this with Apple Intelligence, that recent rollout, and privacy was like a big part of it. It was like, hey, we're gonna have to offload some of this stuff to the cloud, but if we do that, we're gonna make sure that it's auditable and third parties can like check in and make sure that we're keeping our promise when it comes to security. So I guarantee if Apple does roll this out, the privacy thing is gonna be a big deal. Now, if you're the person who bought the camera and you deployed it like around your house or your business or whatever, that's one thing. But for other people getting picked up, I mean, would you like that? You go to somebody's house and it's recognizing you all over the place. Maybe it's just like me. I don't know. A lot of people probably don't care because you start talking about privacy stuff actually really, and people are like, I don't care. I know my stuff's like been released on every, blacklisted site out there back in the deep parts of the web where regular people never go. So it's like, and companies are just selling my information left and right. People are so used to it now that it's kind of sad, actually. But power and convenience always have a trade-off, and oftentimes it's privacy. But it's kind of interesting here. Just aesthetically speaking, I'm positive that Apple could come out with much better looking cameras than other companies. Blinks aren't great. Arlo, I don't know, they just are so expected. There's a security camera look, and maybe Apple could blast through that and really make something look more aesthetic, especially when you get into like floodlights and stuff, right? So currently I'm not sure like who has the best looking camera, and honestly I don't think a lot of companies think about it. It's just mostly about utility, right? Would I rather have an Apple designed system and camera over what I've got now, which is a Eufy system? First things first, are you subscribed to the newsletter? Thousands of people are getting great app and accessory recommendations, making their Apple ecosystem that much cooler. Also, I've got a course coming out on AI and how you can capitalize on all the opportunities. It's in pre-sale right now, so you can save a ton of money. Comes out in like a month. Or you can take my productivity course right now, or check out my course on Apple's Freeform app right now, among several other cool courses. They're all linked up down below for you. For anything out there that is like somewhat useful like this, there's always a ton of room for improvement. And I feel like Apple's really thoughtful with their user interfaces, with the software side of things. If they can get Siri upgraded to like an LLM level, by 2026, like the rumors say, that could be cool to integrate with the security system, especially like with your Apple Watch. Right now I've got several cameras deployed all around the perimeter and some other gadgets, to like monitor if someone opens a window or anything like that. But I like to be able to see security alerts on the Apple Watch, on the iPhone. Obviously, if that's something that you haven't checked out yet, then I mean, it's massively convenient to be able to talk to somebody who's at the doorbell or whatever, be like, yeah, no soliciting, or yeah, drop the package off or whatever, give some instructions, even if you're not home. All of these things are cool and they're pretty mundane, you know, going back several years now. But as long as you already have an iPhone and a Mac and an iPad and all this stuff, I think it makes sense. You might as well have also an Apple security system to go along with it. And honestly, it could be not just your body gait that is recognized or your body shape. It could be like your clothing patterns. There's so many interesting ways that Apple could recognize people. The crazy thing is though, I wonder if we're heading towards a future where anonymity is just completely impossible. Are you excited about this potential? You know, this rumor, does it get you amped up? Or have you already outlaid so much of a cost for various security components in your own home setup? They're like, well, I don't want to switch now. You know what I mean? I spent like hundreds or thousands of dollars for these cameras and sensors and stuff. So even if it's way better, I'm kind of stuck. I think a lot of people will be in that boat, you know, because it's not cheap, you know, like 150 bucks to 300 bucks or whatever for a camera, depending on how nice of the quality. If you want to add lights in, if you want like a floodlight that turns on, if it detects motion at night, well, that costs extra. You know what I mean? So, and by the way, I think that Apple's got some really great camera tech with the iPhone. So it makes sense to translate that into other areas where you have camera components at play, right? So anyways, let me know. Are you excited about this, or is this weird? Doesn't really feel like Apple, you know, to be talking about security systems, but it fits into the smart home, right? Pretty easily. Apple's been laying the foundations for smart home stuff for a really long time. And if it's anything like what they've done with Apple TV, you know, they came out with their hardware, the box, but then they also hit the software side of things. Like they're slowly building out that vertical. So why not be able to see the view from the Apple camera instead of having to work with third parties? Almost undoubtedly, it would be a lot more convenient and fluid. You know what I mean? Because Apple already has a lot of this stuff, like the custom access that you can set up, the guest access and stuff, being able to access stuff via control center or widgets, shortcuts. That would be something that would be fun and cool to have integrated, right?